Okay, this is the HVAC cooling system condensing unit. Alright, so what are we learning here? Let's just start from the wall and work out. How about that? This is the electric service disconnect. It's not supposed to be behind the unit. In fact, it's supposed to be about 3 feet away from the unit, but still within sight. I took the dead front cover plate off. It's good that it has one, but if we look inside of here, we see that block is overheated. It's been melting down. It's experienced an event. It should be replaced. The electric conduit coming into the unit does not come into the unit, and this NM cable is not protected with a connector. The refrigerant line, this refrigerant line is no longer acceptable. It was when this unit was installed, and I'll explain that in a minute. But it's no longer acceptable because it does this kind of stuff and it breaks down and comes apart. Alright, these are called Schrader valves. Look that up in the dictionary. You won't be able to, but those are the refrigerant service valve ports. And your refrigerant service valve port cap is missing. 90% of your refrigerant leaks come from your Schrader valves. So how about that? On this, we learned that the unit, this unit is 26 years old. They last about 14. They're engineered on paper to last 20. You might get 36 years out of it. You might. But Las Vegas is going to give you 14. After 14 years, it's done just about everything we'd expect it to do. Another thing we learned about this unit is that it's R22 refrigerant in it. The old stuff, no longer manufactured in the United States, no longer imported in the United States legally. Do they have a stockpile of it? You bet they do. Is it expensive? Sure is. And they have alternatives that you can drop in. If you wanted to drop an alternative in an old unit like this, it's probably C or 10. The alternatives are about 10 to 30% less efficient. So you want to take and right now we're running about C or 17. Alright, 14, 17 on residential. So if you want to take an already inefficient system and put even more inefficient refrigerant in here that any other air conditioning tech is not going to want to follow, you might as well put that guy on payroll. So if he sees a little sticker on there that the alternative refrigerant is going to be in there, he's not going to want to mess with it. In fact, I take that back. Most technicians are not going to want to mess with this anyway, regardless. About any technician that comes in here is going to tell you, is going to rightfully so recommend that you update the system. It's just time, energy-wise, efficiency-wise, dependability-wise, service cost repairs-wise. Now, the Texas Real Estate Commission, it's either on or it's off. It's performing the function for which it's intended, or it's no longer, or it was not installed properly, or it's on or off, and performing as intended or inoperable. Or was it installed improperly, and it was, or is it a safety item that the Texas Real Estate Commission thinks is important that the client should know about? I don't know, maybe that melted-down block in there. So we're going to find out. We're going to take some measurements. We're going to see if this thing is working. But in the meantime, it'd be prudent to budget for replacement. Are you through, bud? No, I'm not through. This thing doesn't fit on the pad properly. This thing is not level. And it does not have a water diverter above it. So what do we learn? Everything's wrong with it. We learned we don't have a water diverter. We learned that the disconnect is behind the unit. The disconnect hasn't been sealed, and the disconnect's melting down. We learned the electric cables don't come into the cabinet like they should. We learned that we have the wrong kind of refrigerant. We learned that we're missing our Schrader valve cover. I don't think I mentioned this, but we also learned that the coils are dirty. We learned that it doesn't sit on the pad like it's supposed to. It doesn't elevate the condensing unit in some places. It doesn't elevate it 3 inches above the ground. We learned that it's not sitting level. Did I say the water diverter already? We also learned that the guy is 26 years old. Is that what I learned? 26? Is that my math? 26 years old. They last about 14. We learned that. We learned that the refrigerant is R22. That's what we learned.